Freddie, thank you so much for being here again. This is another time that you're here at the Emergency Management Summit. To the participants, our Assembly member, the Honorable Freddie Rodriguez, is the chair of both the Assembly Emergency Management Policy Committee and the Joint Legislative Committee on Emergency Management. And I would have been remiss if today, especially in an Emergency Management Summit, did not reflect on the mayhem and the tragedy that really occurred in southern Turkey, northern Syria, with a catastrophic human sacrifice. And Freddie, I really appreciate you because I know you have been at the forefront of this topic. Earthquake in California is not a foreign topic. It's a very real topic. God forbid a 7.2, 7.5 in any of our cities would equally kill. And I understand that you're holding a hearing coming up soon. So I'm going to give you the floor. Please talk about what your bills, you have a presented number of bills addressing retrofitting and preparing us to the potential of an earthquake, and also making California more aware on the topic. So we really appreciate you. Thank you for coming. The floor is yours for a few minutes.
Thank you very much, and thank everybody for participating on this very important issues facing California. Obviously, as chair of the on the Committee on Emergency Management, I think it's a great fitting. I wish we'd had this standing committee years ago, but something just got created about 3 years ago. But with that, been off and running. Obviously, we live in a disaster-prone state, right? Earthquake can happen any moment without really that much of a notice. We have the fires. We have the floods, pandemics. So I think with what I'm doing is trying to make California the leader in disaster preparedness and response to major emergencies. But not only that, Frank, I think we need to focus now 2 major disasters simultaneously. I'm just going back to what happened recently with the floods, right? We had the major flooding coming in southern Northern California, the storms back to back to back. What would have happened? We had that major earthquake on the Hayward Fault, San Andreas Fault, what that would do with our resources, our first responders that are out there. So now I'm looking at the bigger picture that we need to look at these major disasters simultaneously. And with that, last year, after we had this hearing again, or the discussion, I worked with folks to get $250 million to seismically retrofit soft story housing structures in California. But unfortunately, with the budget looking the way it is this coming year, the governor has removed that funding. But I'm trying to advocate with another bill to bring that funding back, because like you said, look what happened, the devastation in Syria and Turkey. That should be a wide eye-opening to us here in California, that's looming here in California. We're way overdue for this earthquake. And what do we need to do to prepare ourselves? This is one step, I feel, to help alleviate the issues of buildings collapsing for soft story structures. But then we look at the bigger picture as well, some of our hospitals, right? Some of our aging infrastructures out there, not just homes, hospitals, buildings, not to mention what to do for infrastructure on highways and roads. I know we've come a long way. We've learned a lot, but I still think there's a lot more need to be done, and we need to be that leader moving forward. But we can't do it without funding, right? Funding and resources, and everybody collaborating together on how we can better respond throughout the state. There's 58 counties in California. How do all 58 counties work together with OES and the other agencies to make sure that they have plans in place to respond and provide the resources to our communities across the board? And one thing I want to throw in there as well, obviously with the earthquakes, we don't get a warning, right? We don't know if it's going to be northern, southern, or in the middle. Fires, floods, we kind of know, right? The way the weather pattern is coming, the way the fire is moving, what areas it's going to impact and how severe. But earthquakes, unfortunately, we don't. So with that said, like I said, hopefully this year I can get that money restored back in the budget where it belongs, and advocating once again for earthquake preparedness and response in the state of California.
Thank you so much, Assembly member, and we really appreciate you. And it's kind of earthquake is one of those topics that out of sight, out of mind kind of a thing in California, while the reality is so high. Mm-hmm. And what you're doing is going to save lives. There's no question about it. And We can see from what happened in Turkey, for example, and northern Syria. I mean, these are countries, unfortunately, some of the enforcement of their building codes, etc., are not up to par. In our case, a lot of our infrastructure is old. It's not a question of not being up to par from a legal perspective. It's just that they're old. So they require retrofitting and they require some remedial measures, and that this funding will help a lot. I know that this funding was almost like a funding that allowed cities and counties and other municipalities to be able to match funds and do the much needed retrofitting that was necessary. So we really appreciate you coming, and good luck with your hearing. Let us know how we can be of help in academia as well, because this is the responsibility of all Californians, I think, to focus on. So again, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming.